Today we are diving into the dynamic world of marketing with none other than Devnidhi Bajoria. With over a decade of experience under her belt, Devnidhi has navigated the bustling corridors of Femina and now leads charge as head of marketing and client servicing at Applause Entertainment, a powerhouse in content and IP creation. Get ready for a fun and insightful conversation as we explore her journey and the secrets behind her marketing magic. Hi, Devnidhi.
Oh, thank you. That was a very sweet introduction.
So I think I want to start with we had a call discussing this podcast, and from that conversation, what I got is that it's clear that you're incredibly confident and like very articulate. Like you were, it was like the first time we have spoken, and you were still guiding the conversation, and you were like making it fun, but making your points clear and this and that. So my question is, how does one bring that same level of confidence with like a big name? So in your industry, I feel like you interact probably with celebrities or big corporates. So how does one like bring that confidence and that skill in communication to such a name where usually people would feel a little bit nervous?
I won't lie, some of it has to be inherent.
Hmm.
Everything is not taught and everything is, but at the same time, there is a learning curve to everything. I won't deny that. I think it's just about getting better at what you do constantly, that then you also are very confident that the other person cannot counter you or everybody around you will be happy. Also, I think as marketing, your key role is to market a product or to market content, is what we do. And if you can't market yourself, which is to begin with, then you're sort of not tick boxing a lot of those things, right? Because at the end of the day, as a marketer, your first job is to you should be able to tell a story which the other person has to be convinced and buy.
Hmm.
So I think that just sort of, inherently, you have to be sure of what you're doing and what you're saying. And I think if you are sure of what you're saying and doing, then that does translate into your work, that does translate into how you sort of carry yourself,
Yeah.
that does translate a little bit into, the way you deal with people, because you're sure of what you're talking about,
Hmm.
you're sure of what you're doing. And trust me, sometimes you have to wing it. And I
Hmm.
think then that's when your little bit of inherent confidence comes into play, because then you're winging it, right? So then you're like sort of figuring out that, and then trust me, just say it with confidence and sass. And I've realized that you can get away with a lot
Okay.
in general. But
And
yeah, I mean, to balance it, there has to be some amount of it inherently.
hmm.
At the same time, some amount of that you cultivate with probably experience as you go by. I'm sure I'm not the same person that I was 10 years back, or even 5 years back, right? Like,
Hmm.
as in when you deal with more people, you learn the nuances of what to say when.
Hmm.
And you have to pick up those things, I guess. So, like, I mean, even when we were talking, right? Like, it was a throw of ideas that we were doing with each
Yeah.
other. But I'm not saying you have to always talk of what the other person needs to hear or wants to hear, but a little mix of sort of anticipating what they will say, so you can, in your head, at least prep two lines. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a mix of who you inherently are and skills that you learn on your journey.
Okay. And you said experience is a big part of it. So was there like a point where when you had like interviews or something in the start of your career with like say hiring managers, you were nervous, and how do you like get over that where it's like a make or break moment? If you screw it up, you
Honestly, I'm still nervous. I won't lie. I was just talking to somebody that day, and rejection is rejection. Yeah. When you're 22 or when you're 32, it's still rejection, right? Like when you're
yeah.
still on an interview call, you still, what is your main aim? You want to impress that person, whether you want that job or not.
Hmm.
See, at the end of the day, it's inherent human quality that whether you want that job or not, you still want that person to like you. You still want that person to want you.
Hmm.
And whether it's a job, whether it's anything else in terms of getting what you want, right? Like, so I'm still nervous. I keep talking to people. I always feel you should go know your worth. You should just keep talking to people. And I won't lie, I still get the butterflies. I still wonder if I'm saying the right thing. I haven't given an interview in a while. I won't lie. And also, I've had long jobs in my career. I'm not somebody who has switched very often. I don't know if it has happened consciously, unconsciously, but I guess I'm somebody, if I see growth and progress in what I'm doing, I tend to stick around. Also, I do believe that good things take time. So by wanting to jump very quick, you don't know if you've also explored your potential at that place. I won't lie, I'm still extremely nervous when I'm talking to you and I'm nervous. I won't lie. I still have the bubbles. Am I saying the right thing? Am I being too preachy? Am I sounding too childish? You still have all those thoughts in your head, but that's a good thing because that means you still have that drive in you, right? Like, I mean, I haven't reached the sage state yet where anything happens around me and I'm nirvana. No, I still, you still are nervous about what you put out to the universe, and it's about putting yourself there.
Hmm.
So I still get the tingles, I won't lie. And I think it's a good thing. So I don't mind it.
Yeah. So at your stage, like say if somebody who's just starting out talking to you, would you be impressed by somebody who speaks a lot and like speaks like confidently, or would you be impressed by somebody who knows what they are talking about but has their like like like
I've never really analyzed that so much,
hmm,
but I'm just thinking of when I have met people who I would want to in my team or who I would want to work with. I think inherent confidence or a little bit of being sure of who you are sort of helps in that sense, because I do get drawn to that. I won't lie, right? Like, I mean, again, that person has to work with me. I do feel that that person needs to have a voice, that person needs to have some qualities that would draw me to them, which would be confidence. But at the same time, I feel, again, this is completely what I feel. I'm also a good team lead in general. I think so. I like my team to have a voice. I like them to be motivated. So yes, I do like them to have that little bit of creative bend, that little bit of go-getter-ness, which also does come with confidence. But at the same time, if I see somebody who's really meticulous, who has who comes across as a thorough driven person, I'm ready to groom them. I'm ready to work with them and groom them. I don't have a problem with that. But yes, on the face, yes, that little bit of confidence and that, that lure around that person, right? Like a
yeah,
little something in that person, whether it's weird or not. I do like a little bit of weirdness because that also means you have a personality which you're not shy to show. In that 5 minutes, honestly, even for us, right? Like in 15 minutes, you're trying to decode a person. You have to just, if you put yourself in their shoes, you know that they're doing their best at that point. Like, say, if I were to work with you, or you were, you and me were chatting where work is concerned, I understand what you're going through. It's not like I'm not that old. It's not been that long that I've not been in those shoes. So, you do get that. But at the same time, I like people with slight quirk. I like people with a creative belt. I like a little rule breakers. I think that just inherently just attracts me more.
no, I see what you mean. That's definitely attractive because when I see like people who just talk to like strangers as you're talking to a friend, even how you were talking, I'm like, shit, how do you do it? And yeah, like that's a good trait to have, I feel. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I think honestly, I've realized that you just have to get people to be comfortable around you and have faith in you. The moment you do that, you've already won a lot of battles. They already just trust you.
hmm.
You know, again, they don't have to trust me with their life and their property or any of that. But for those 15 minutes at that point, I feel like that person, okay, don't worry, she will figure it out. And I seek that in other people because I need that surety, right, from somebody else when we're working together. So I
Yeah,
think that, so I don't have a tick box that, oh, you need to be like this, you need to be like this. I think if you have a quirk, if you have a personality, which you are ready to bring onto the table, obviously you don't have to be a flake. Obviously, I mean, those are given things,
yeah.
but I enjoy people who have that fire in their belly, that spirit in them that, okay, it's fine, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So I think my next question is like damn relevant to me and like whoever my age or a little older. I want to know what prioritization look for you like at the start of your career. When you're beginning your professional life, you're kind of also like the peak years of your life, at least to me. I'm not sure, maybe 40s and 30s, maybe the peak. But yeah, it looks like you're at the peak of your life where you're supposed to go out a lot and do this and do that. But also, you have to prove yourself professionally and early on to get that kind of boost. So, what was that like for you? How did you like divide it, and what advice would you give? How do you divide it?
You know. I won't lie, a lot of life is winging it. I mean, I'm not going to give corporate jargon because, each and every person has a very unique journey which you figure out on the way. And I totally believe that today, if I put you down and say that 5 years later you should be doing this, you guaranteed will not be doing this, because in everybody has a journey and you need to experience it to be able to understand what is right or what is wrong. And at your age, I won't lie, when I started my career in advertising. Actually, I thought I'll become a doctor. So I
Hmm.
studied science in my junior college. I realized that maybe I can become a doctor. I'm not that I am that I think I'm that intelligent that I can become a doctor. But I
Hmm.
realized I can't study so much.
Yeah.
That's when I realized that okay, social life is important to me, friends are important to me, the culture that I build around is important to me, and maybe a little more important than studying all day. I won't lie, that's not the most ideal thing to put out there. So I took that conscious decision where I said, okay, I can't do science, I can't study. I'm sorry, parents, I can't become a doctor. I am really sorry for wasting all your money, for wasting all my time, but I can't do this. If I need to be, it was that moment where you sit your parents down and you tell them, I'm really sorry. I just gave my board exams. I'm just going to make it through because I didn't study much. I promise I'll give that medical exam, but I do not want a seat. And I'm not interested in doing this. And when my parents asked me, now what? I said, I'll figure.
Hmm.
And my sister was doing BMM, and that's the only hope. And, that I had in sight that, okay, I can do this. I thankfully got admission in a college. And advertising is, again, I did follow a lot of my early journey. My sister was a copywriter. So she was in advertising, and I was like, okay, I think I can do servicing. So I started with that. I won't lie, through the early years of my career, advertising is a ruthless job. You're working crazy hours. At least you were working agency life, as one may call it. You're working crazy hours. You're meeting extremely unrealistic deadlines. It's a lot of fun, but it's quite crazy. And at that time, I won't lie, I was at my peak of indiscipline, right? I used to party till 4 a.m. I used to come home at 4:35, go to sleep for 5 hours, make it to work on time. So I think at that time it was more about just I have to go to work, I have to do this.
Hmm.
I won't lie, I was not so serious at that time. It was more about no, I just have to I want to be independent. I think at that time my goal was to be more financially independent, more self-dependent. I have to say it, rather than being dependent on anybody around me. I think it was more of that.
Hmm.
At the same time, it was go out there and enjoying my life too. I traveled a lot, as soon as I made money, I started traveling. I did everything, that trip to the mountains in train and in 25,000 rupees and all of that. I did all of it. And I think that's again, for me, that was very important because that also gave me purpose as to why I want to keep working, why I want to keep earning money, why I want to keep doing things and just becoming better at what I do. And then on the way, I realized that, okay, I think I'm good at this. Okay, I think I'm good at it. And then I started honing the skills that I think I'm good at. Like, I think I was good at dealing with people. I thought I was good at, calling it marketing and putting it all together. I don't have any fancy MBA degree. I don't have anything. I just have a BMM degree, and then I have worked and worked, put my head down and work. I also feel that sense of purpose comes a little later, at least in a corporate job. I'm guessing when you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, your journey is very different. But in a job, the sense of purpose comes a little later because initially you're just doing it because you're doing it. I won't lie. Again, I live in the city. I didn't have rent to pay. I didn't have a house to run. I didn't have any of that, right? So it was more about eventually it became about going and proving myself and okay, I am capable of doing things on my own. I think that came a little later. But initially, it was all about going out there, having fun. And I'm very happy I did that because today I know the things that I enjoy. Today I do know the things I don't want to work for. Today, my priorities are listed in terms of where my work life is concerned, this work life balance and all of that. I don't know how much of it I believe in because you're always thinking about work, even if you're not doing it physically. But I think there is a moment when you need to draw yourself off it so that you don't become crazy. But yes, I think I would just tell everybody that, do what you want at that time. Obviously, don't lose path. Just put your head down and keep working, but make sure you enjoy your life. Like,
Yeah.
you're never going to be this age again. You're never going to be able to sleep at 4 a.m., wake up at 9 a.m., go to work and spend the whole day without thinking that you're dying at 4 p.m., which is now what happens to me. If I do not sleep on time, by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I am feeding. And I was like, how did I do this for all those years when I lived on 4 hours of sleep, right?
Hmm.
And today I look back and I go like, thank God I did it all, because it's a journey, and as you grow, it's true, as you grow, people say, oh, you don't age, nothing, your body hurts, everything happens. So it's very important to live your journey. Also, I really know what I want in my life in terms of some personal achievements. So I
Hmm.
think that also ensures that I get them, right? Like, if your goal is to buy a house at a certain age, if your goal is to buy a car at a certain age, if your goal is to travel the world, or to
Hmm.
whatever it is, you will only discover that by living a life at this moment. But yes, you have to
Okay.
put your head down. You have to still get up at 9 a.m. and
Hmm.
go to work. You may not be able to fit that workout in, but you'll still, it's still about getting there to work. Like, don't give that up. I think at that time it was just about sailing through.
Okay. And you brought up an interesting point where, like, working long hours at an agency and stuff like that. So I had a question relating to that. So I'm assuming that because you are like at the level you are at, you've gone like above and beyond like the say like whatever the work hours and stuff like that. But what are your thoughts on people who just like do the bare minimum during their 9 to 5 or whatever the work hours are and then clock out? Do you need to go above and beyond like the requirements in your description?
What happens in a large corporate, okay, I won't take names out here, but
Hmm.
when you work in a really large corporate which has 300-400 employees or more, right? Or at least in that one office or in that department, it's very easy to hide behind other people.
Hmm.
It's very easy. So if you're a team of five, I clock in at 10 a.m., I clock out at 6:30, it's fine. You'll still survive it.
Hmm.
But you won't have the experiences or the journey that will make you probably propel in life a little bit earlier than your colleagues would have. You'll still be running behind that 8-10% appraisal and that 2 years every desert fight and all of that. You'll still be caught in all of that.
Hmm.
So it's, if you're working in a large space, it is very easy to hide behind existing workers, or to hide behind a team, as one may say, right? Because you will still continue your journey. You will still you'll still, I mean, on paper, if I say at the end of the year, how did one perform? Yeah, you did your job. I cannot say that you didn't do your job in doing that 9 to 5.
Hmm.
But the difference is not about that 9 to 5. I also don't believe in hard work. I believe in smart work.
Hmm.
In general, there's no point in being a donkey worker. I also don't believe in those silly people who come to work at 9 a.m. and who leave work at 9 p.m. and are trying to prove a point.
Hmm.
I don't believe in that, right? Because I also don't think that's the smartest way of working. You're just burning yourself out. But at the same time, you don't have to be that government clerical job where you will clock in at 10 sharp. And whether you are completing a presentation or you're working on a pitch deck or any of that, you're like, okay, it's 6:30, it's time to clock out. I am bouncing. I
Hmm.
don't think that will also get you anywhere. Because again, to find your share, if you are interested, that is,
Hmm.
in a group of five, in a team of five, if you want to find that share of voice, you have to fight for it, because there's always somebody who's happily going to take that place for you. And if you're going to give it to them in a platter, then well, okay, as a team
Hmm.
you all will succeed, but as an individual, you will be where you are. You will, it's about climbing steps, right? Eventually you will get to the top. It's just how fast you do it, or you do it first, you do it in the end, you will get there, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's not like climbing Mount Everest, it's just climbing floors slowly and steadily, you'll make it up.
Yeah.
But how you made it, the kind of journey you've had, the kind of successes you've had, the kind of pride you feel in what you do, that is what differs from person to person. But yes, I'm not a believer of those idiots who put in 15 hours and then tell you, I worked so hard. I
Hmm.
deserve this. I don't know what you were doing for 15 hours. I didn't ask you to sit in this office for 15 hours. You could have been smart, and you need to define what you do and do it accordingly. So yeah, I think it's a balance that you find. It's quality versus quantity, because there will be some people who come and tell you that I did this in 4 hours. But if you did a shitty job in 4 hours, then you wasted 4 hours of your life.
Yeah.
But if somebody tells you I took 15 hours to do it, you're like, you could have done it in five. Like, what are you doing? Like, even if a snail is walking, a snail also takes only that much time, right? Now, if you decided to sit and ponder at every step, then
Hmm.
it's not my fault. But if you even ran through it, again, you're not going to reach anywhere. So I think it's about quality, the quality of work that you put in versus the quantity of time you put into doing it.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I mean, because you have to find that fine balance of being a hard worker and a smart worker.
Okay. So you're saying the differentiator, like to like differentiate yourself from other workers, is putting quality and rather than quantity.
Of course. I mean, again, you can make a presentation in 3 hours. You
Hmm.
can make somebody else has made the presentation in 8 hours, and that presentation will still be extremely, in corporate language, it won't be formatted. It won't have the right points. It won't have the index page. It won't have any of that. What's the point? And
Hmm.
it has the stupidest ideas that you have cracked in 3 hours. So would I say that you are better, or would you, okay, in that situation, who would you define better? It's obviously the quality of the idea or the initiation of how you've done it, rather than, oh, you sat for 8 hours, so do I need to reward you for those 8 hours? No, it's, you need to be rewarded on what you presented, right? Like, and sometimes as a boss, you don't even know the backstory. I mean, sometimes, as, just think about it, right? Our bosses don't even know that, oh, you spent 5 hours planning this event. They're like, okay, they came, this was beautiful, out.
Hmm.
Nobody knows that back work, only you know it. So honestly, you have to put yourself out there and figure out if you did a good job or not, and did you waste time doing it or not.
Okay. Another question I had was, I feel like during the start or like say the mid part of your career, I may be wrong, weren't like agencies like, oh, everyone was like, oh shit, oh, this is like super fun. Because it was kind of like the peak start, right?
It was, right, because one
Hmm.
is you're young, two
Yeah.
is your agency life is dazzling
Hmm.
in terms of, I'm not saying work,
Yeah.
not even getting there, but in terms of, in terms of the lure that it has to get you in.
Hmm.
You have fun people, you have young people, agencies are full of young people. You are young, you suddenly find this group of people that are cool, that, and also it's this world switch of independent people. I've grown up, I've born, brought up, grown up in Bombay. I have lived always with my family. So to see people who are, who've come to the city, working, young people, that making it, hustling, working it out, it's extremely fun. People are going out every day. It doesn't matter if it's a Wednesday, you still go out drinking, you still go out chilling. Also, you're working really late hours. So
Hmm.
you sort of become each other's BFF in that sense, because you're working so late. Yes, you're eating all all 3 meals a day sometimes. While I was extremely dazzled by it for a little time in the beginning, I could not understand what I was doing till 3 a.m. on some days.
Hmm.
So I won't lie, I was not, I didn't do it for very long. I did it for around 4 years or so. I don't think I'm a lazy person, but I don't think that I realized that ain't me.
Hmm.
I'm not somebody who will go out drinking 5 days a week. I did that when I was younger.
Hmm.
And also, again, because I come from Bombay, I think I had a strong social circle in Bombay. I had a lot of friends in Bombay, in around my house. So I would chill with them a lot more.
Hmm.
But yes, agency life, extremely dazzling, extremely, again, for a young person, it's the mecca of having fun.
Hmm.
You're meeting like-minded people. You're meeting so many people. You're meeting people, more people than you met in college. Like,
Yeah.
you guys go to very fancy colleges. I went to normal colleges, junior college, 11th and 12th.
Hmm.
You all go to schools and IBs and stuff. So your junior college life is very different from what we had, like wasting the whole day standing outside college. eating that roll on the road, not doing anything, going to Mocca, chilling, all of that. When you move out from there and suddenly go to an agency and you meet more people, you're like, that could happen. I can meet more people also, and more young, cool people. So it's very dazzling. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was me so much. I won't lie. I like my female bosses who like to go home on time, who live a life, who have a social life, who have a life. I won't lie. I was a little bit of that, where I liked that little organized life. I think I realized that very early, that agency life ain't for me. While I like the hustle bustle of an agency, but it ain't for me. I realized that very early.
Okay, and you spoke about like the culture and like the expectations difference, but what's the difference in terms of like the progression, climbing the ladder in an agency and corporate?
See, honestly, agencies are very different today
Hmm.
than they were when I was in an agency, which was like 14 years back, 13 years back.
Hmm.
Agencies are very different. There was nothing like digital agency. I was in an advertising agency. We were still figuring out the ropes. Oh God, I feel ancient when I say all this. We were figuring out Facebook at that time. Like, I mean, there was no Instagram, there was no WhatsApp. I didn't even have a fancy phone when I was interning, right? Like Blackberries had just about come. So you didn't take your work home, a lot of all of that. So you were physically in the agency for really long.
Hmm.
I think now, if I look back, if I did have work, if I did have a phone, like today, I have my email on my phone. I don't even need a laptop on most days. Like if it's a rainy day and I don't have my computer, it's not a problem. I can easily work out of my phone. We didn't have that at when I had just started out, because of which you were physically in the agency for so long. I think because you were sitting in the agency and there was no way of checking the work that you're doing, I thought I was doing the same thing, my boss was doing the same thing, and my boss's boss was doing the same thing.
Hmm.
I just didn't find a lot of sense in that because we all were waiting around till midnight for a artwork.
Okay.
I think life is very different today because today you have your phone, today you can check it on WhatsApp. Initially, there was no really way of doing it. So I think communication ease has also sort of made people's life easier. You don't have to be physically present all the time. In fact, it's so funny. Currently, agencies are very happily working from home.
Okay.
And we, as a content studio, we went back after the pandemic to work from office really early because our job is such that it's
Hmm.
production, it's content, you're creating content, that you need to be on, you need to be meeting people, the exchange of ideas. It's so much work can get done meeting people. But funnily, I we did have a digital agency which was still working from home. I
Okay.
mean, now they're no longer our agency, but they're still working from home.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think now agencies have turned like very more than happy people are with working from home because again, it's communication ease. So I think the life of an agency is very different now.
Hmm.
And agencies are also a great training ground. M-
Hmm.
Today at Applause, the entire marketing team, including me, we're all ex-agencies.
Oh, okay.
We each one of us come because I feel like it gives you grit, and it gives you, you can really, like, you really strengthen up, like you really become strong. Because I genuinely feel that, because the amount of work that you do in an agent, the amount of hustling that you do in an agency,
Hmm.
that you may not have experienced anywhere. Like the agency life is all about, like I said, that fire in your belly, the go-getter, the hustler. Because
Hmm.
if you want to be on top in an agency, because again, there's so many people in an agency, right? Like underpaid, very happily overworked people in an agency who just like hanging out in the office or
Hmm.
with each other. So
Hmm.
you have to really, really be that hustler to be able to climb, I feel, in an agency. So it's a great, like they say, breeding ground for talent.
Makes sense. That makes sense. You've had like the opportunity to work at Femina, which is, I think, like a brand with a strong focus on women, right? So my question is, how has that experience and like work life shaped your approach and perspective in your current role and like your current work environment and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's very, again, femina. You're working for the largest magazine. I will say that my company, Worldwide Media, did give me a very strong pitch because when I interviewed, I actually wanted to work on another magazine. I want to work on Lonely Planet. Who doesn't want to work on Lonely Planet? Everybody thinks that they'll get to travel, right? If
Mm.
you work on Lonely Planet. So I won't lie, I wanted to work on Lonely Planet, but then when they told me that no, they think I'll be a better fit for femina, I said, okay, why not? At that time, my motivations for that job was very different. Uh, the office was very close to my home. So that was my largest motivation. Like I told you, I wasn't
Yeah.
so serious about what I did. It was more about just doing it and more about
Mm.
just, I mean, now I'll say, oh, becoming the person I am and all. But at that time, it was all about winging it. But what Femina did with me is one, I had really encouraging people around me. My boss is from Femina. I learned a lot about myself in the sense of I learned that, oh, I could be really good at what I do. I can do it well. A lot of my own talents I sort of figured out, like you don't know you're as confident as you are when it comes to work till
Mm.
you actually are doing it or till someone tells you that. I'm also a people's pleaser by nature. I need validation. I'm somebody who needs to be, I love to hear self praise. I love, like, you'll tell me good things about myself. Who doesn't like it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll admit it. That's the difference. So I think at Femina, I realized that, oh, I can be good at what I do. For me, it became more than a job in general because I started enjoying what I did. I started, and it was a lot of it was hustling and figuring
Mm.
out your way. And, it wasn't so set in stone and it wasn't a routine paper. We did a lot of on ground stuff. We worked with a lot of people. And
Mm.
I also realized that what I like interacting with people. As if I have to give a few points about my job, I like interacting with people. I like meeting new people. I like that thrill, that
Mm.
joy, that hustling, that feeling. And I
Mm.
also realize I'm good at what I do. I realize I work well with people around me. So it really did become a little of a self-discovery. I was there for very long as well. I was there for nearly 7 years. I did take my time in that journey. I did take my time discovering it. I did realize, like, and today, if I look back, I can tell you millions of stories, how I
Mm.
did this or how someone else did this, how we did this as a team, that we're so proud of, that we put this together and we put that together. And that just shows, that means I'll have a billion stories out of which I remember a million that I can tell you that they must have been at that point unknowingly, knowingly that impactful that even now it's been 5 years since I'm not with Femina and I still remember so much of that journey that I still
Mm.
take out from that. I can do this, I cannot do this. So it was more of a understanding of yourself more than anything that I can do this. I won't lie, it did have its challenges,
Mm.
because that's the first time I sort of started working with people apart from my bosses, like having a team of my own or working with
Mm.
them. You realize so many things that you're so different when it comes to, it's so different when you are reporting into somebody and when suddenly you're working with somebody. To
Mm.
find that thin line of working with people at the same time, yourself, what do you do? Because it's very easy to lose yourself in all of that, where you suddenly have people who are working with you. So,
Mm.
finding that journey, I think that was what Femina is for me. I'll never take that experience away. It did teach me a lot. I met some wonderful people. I still have friends from there. So I think, and I always say, right, like in a corporate, people say, right, like you make so many friends.
Mm.
And I always say, you don't know if you're my friend till after we've quit, both of us, or individually, and then are we still friends?
Wow.
Because when you're there, I mean, I keep telling everybody around me this, that if you don't enjoy what you do or if you're not happy, you will never be good at it either. Because by a funny logic and reason, we spend more time with our colleagues than we spend with our family back home.
Yeah.
Or we spend with people who we've chosen in our life, right?
Hmm.
Because when I go to work, I haven't chosen all of them. They've all been hired by other people. I just spend my day with each one of them. But I've not chosen them. But spending your life with people that you've choose, or like I spend more awake hours in office than I do in my own house.
Yeah.
My help at home teases me sometimes that hotel mein aa gaye aap, because at this, we all spend more time at work or with people around that we have created. So it's very important to enjoy what you do. And I think that's also a sense I learned at Femina, because we're spending so much. We used to travel a lot at Femina because we did a lot of events, and when you're traveling with somebody, imagine you're waking up with them, you are sleeping with them probably besides you, you're eating all your meals together, all your habits eventually, you can predict a person, what they like, what they don't like. You're spending more time. So it's so important to enjoy what you do. That's the only way you will be good at it, because if you don't, you'll just be a unhappy person in life, because
Yeah.
you're being unhappy for most part of your day,
Yeah.
apart from sleeping then.
Hmm. And I'm sure, like, when you're friends with your team members and stuff, the work also comes out better, right? Because you can just like comfortably share ideas and this and that.
There's again a fine line between that.
Oh.
I'm learning these things. I won't lie. Life is a constant work in progress, and I'm still learning these things,
Hmm.
right? Because by nature, I'm somebody who likes to make people comfortable around me.
Hmm.
By nature, that's my nature, right? Like,
Hmm.
again, I keep saying, I want you to like me. I want everybody to like me. I want
Hmm.
everybody to think that Devnidhi is so much fun. Like, we want her around, right? I
Yeah.
want people to think that. It's not like, yes, obviously, I'm confident, I'm all of that. But at the same time, I am making that effort.
Hmm.
It doesn't, everybody can't yap 24/7. Everybody can't do all of that. But I am making that effort, right? I want you to like me. So coming from there is this fine line about personal and professional,
Hmm.
because and for that, I follow this simple rule that we have to work together professionally,
Hmm.
and have to make that happen first before we jump onto the personal side of it, before we become friends in real life. If we don't work for each other professionally, then there's no point, because at the end of the day, that's the relationship first
Hmm.
in a work environment. So, but yes, at the same time, when you leave the office doors
Hmm.
or when you're having lunch together, you're having lunch together. Don't be anybody's boss. Don't be anybody's subordinate. I mean, we're all sharing our food, right? It doesn't matter whose dabba it's coming out of. So I think that is this little thin line, which younger bosses, I'm sure, are struggling with, because in nature, you want to go out drinking with your team. You want to be fun with them. You
Hmm.
want them to have fun when they're working together, but at the same time, you have to sometimes put your foot down. You have to sometimes be that not so nice boss or not so nice person at the end of the day. So it's a thin line which I'm constantly struggling with.
Okay. And just coming back to like Femina itself, did that experience kind of change your priorities in terms of at work itself and outside work, since you were around so many I guess more experienced women with greater clarity and stuff like that?
No, you're asking me these things now. I'm thinking about it. Did it not? Because I don't. Normally you just live your life, right? You're not
Yeah.
constantly thinking that, did
Yeah.
this teach me a life lesson or not? So now that you're saying it, I don't know, I guess as you grow, and again, I'm being very honest, as
Hmm.
you grow, you get, you discover yourself, because also you start making your own money, you start living your own life, you
Hmm.
start thinking for yourself. And I
Hmm.
think that's more of a journey rather than, and people around you obviously aid that journey. You
Hmm.
see people, you want to become like people, you know what you don't want to become. So I think that everybody around you is sort of, like pegs in your life and you're working around them. I think more than so much of a, oh my God, discovery, you just learn what you like, what you dislike. Anyways, as you grow older, it's very easy to throw baggage off your shoulders. That's a skill that you learn as you grow older. I don't like this, out. You don't waste time. I guess I won't say so much so as Femina itself, but I think that age that I was at in Femina, in your mid 20s, when you've started now making a decent amount of money, you figured out what you like. I realized what drives me to work harder, right? Like my personal motivations became stronger, which were driving me to work harder, to do better at workplace so that I could fulfill all those as well. I think it was more of an age thing.
Hmm.
And yes, being at a place like Times and being at a place like Femina, where you're constantly meeting more people, they just all act as alchemists in your journey,
Hmm.
in general, of self discovery or your personal discovery, your personal motivations. If I was in a banking job or any of that, where I say wouldn't meet so many people, it was more of a boxed 9 to 5 kind of an environment. You
Hmm.
won't meet so many people. You don't have those many human interactions.
Hmm.
So I guess that for that I will always be thankful to my times at Times, because that did sort of, you met so many people, right? It was a people's job. So
Hmm.
that I feel like really helps you mold your own sense of self in
Hmm.
your head.
Do you feel
Mhm.
the corporate journey for like women differs from those of men? Even with like obviously everyone, like many women get CEO and CMO and CFO roles, but do you think for those roles women have to like prove themselves more than men in terms of like, oh, even we have the ability to lead, or is that like now a thing of the past?
I don't think it's so much as the outside world and what we do to ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, I'm talking about myself. I'm not generalizing. I don't like to generalize.
Yeah.
I am not a good negotiator. Like sometimes when it comes to myself,
Hmm.
we tend to settle for much lesser. And this you realize afterwards that what did I
Hmm.
do? I could have fought a little more. So I think it's about that. You tend to settle for lesser. You
Hmm.
tend to give a lot more priorities to a lot more people around you.
Hmm.
Um, I also feel like, again, this is where I love my women bosses. They like to
Hmm.
go home. Like
Yeah.
you're like, I want to go home. Why are you sitting in office? I don't care if it's 4 hours of traffic. I will sit in that traffic and reach home. I have no interest in sitting in office waiting for traffic to end and then go home. So I don't think it's so much of a men and a women thing.
Hmm.
Maybe naturally also how they're built, like in general, shouldering more responsibility, a lot of all of that. But again, I can claim a lot of things. I am a single person. I live a very carefree life in that sense.
Hmm.
So like I don't have a lot of the responsibilities, but yes, I feel a lot of married women because, like Indrani Nui said in one interview, that a woman's career and her social life are constantly at battle with each other, because I'm guessing for a lot of standard women who've lived life and they've gotten married in their late 20s, gotten a baby in their mid 30s, that's also the time when you're peaking in your career. So I guess that is the fight.
Hmm.
But in general, I feel like it's not so much in today's day and age, it's not so much man and woman as to what you do to yourself. Now, if I'm a bad negotiator, who can help me?
Hmm.
I only can't help myself. How can somebody else help me negotiate a better salary or a better designation? Or maybe being more vocal about what you feel like. Maybe, again, I don't like to generalize. This may not be a woman thing. This may be a woman
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
Maybe we're just not as vocal about what we want, or more steadfast. But yes, I would say there is this general perception that why do you need to work? Why
Hmm.
do you need to do this? Or you may not need it because you may not be running the house, or all of that, which does come into play. But it's very person to person. Yeah, today, look at, I mean, in the industry that I work at, a lot of your marketing heads are women. I don't see that so much as a
Hmm.
man woman thing. It's more of a personal thing. Now you're a male.
Hmm.
Maybe you're a bad negotiator tomorrow when it comes to negotiating hard for your salary, right? Like you
Yeah.
may, okay, let it be, I'll just take it. that I think that's the key, right? Now that nothing, and maybe I'm a very good negotiator. So between you and me, it's not so much as a man-woman thing.
Hmm.
But yes, I will say that women with families and kids, and I hats off to them how they juggle it all.
Hmm.
How they juggle coming back home, being that awake and that present 24/7 in your personal life and your professional life. I guess that also tires women out. Maybe why? Because of that, they don't have the, sometimes they just like let it be, like it's fine,
Hmm.
just whatever. I
Hmm.
think it's that more than so much of especially in the, we work in Bombay, we
Hmm.
work in our biggest metro. We all work at big corporates. So
Hmm.
here I don't see so much of a gender problem, but maybe at smaller companies, maybe in smaller towns,
Hmm.
I'm sure it exists. I'm 100% sure it exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say this. I think women are hard workers, are harder workers.
Okay. And
I
I
have an all women's, I have an all girls team in office currently with
oh.
only one boy,
Hmm.
and I love my girls. Like literally, I think they like the go-getters that they can be, not taking away anything from the one boy in my team, but they, I just think that you give them a task and you don't have to follow up,
Hmm.
it will be done. And I think I'm like that. So I think I just like have that little, I enjoy working with women, I think women for women now. I stand for all of that.
Hmm.
And again, I think that comes from my experiences. I've had a lot of female bosses, and I absolutely love most of them.
Hmm.
They've also taught me what to not be like. I've had some not so nice ones as well. So I
Hmm.
remember when I was interning, I had one boss, and in my head I knew exactly that when and if I become a boss or
Hmm.
somebody else has to report into me, or I sort of have this little, like I have to dictate their life a little bit, like I'm never going to be like that person,
Hmm.
like never. I think that was like, if someone treats you badly, you don't have to treat other people badly to get any sort of peace in
Hmm.
your heart, is something that I learned at that time. Because I was like, how they must be that they treat you so badly. Like, just because you're an intern
Hmm.
does not mean that it's a free hand to treat me badly.
Hmm. Hmm.
If
Yeah.
nothing, you have to be nicer to me because you have to make sure that I love this experience to want to come back to this.
Hmm. Do you think that just comes
So yeah, I
like
don't think the man-woman thing at all, honestly. In fact, sometimes I feel men don't know what to do with women, what to say around them, what to do around them,
hmm.
And today we've all live in this woke world
Hmm.
where you have to be so careful of what you say, what might trigger somebody in whatever way,
Hmm.
that actually everybody is now walking on thin ice constantly.
Yeah.
We say things and we go like, that's not what I meant. The number of times we're self-correcting, like that's not what I meant. No, 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 I didn't say it like that. Because we all are walking on such thin ice. So I don't think gender is so much. So it's more personal.
Yeah.
It's your person, yeah.
Hmm.
At least in Bombay, at least in metros.
Also, do you think like that, obviously person to person, but do you think when people have this like managers being rude, do you think like, oh, it comes from a place of power? I finally have power and oh, now I'll do whatever I want with it and this and like,
Little bit, no? Everybody enjoys a little bit of a power trip.
yeah.
Sometimes it's like they say, right? Like
Hmm.
if you know you can get away with it, then it comes easier
Yeah.
to do it, So I guess sometimes I won't lie, there are good days, bad days, right? Like
Hmm.
everybody says don't take your personal situations to work, but we're all human at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Now I've had a terrible morning, like I've had a terrible morning, or I've had a terrible night for whatever reason. Gone into work feeling like shit,
Hmm.
throwing a tantrum.
Hmm.
You know that you're being a horrible person. I won't lie, in your heart you're being a terrible person,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it comes out. I think, like, and now you can, like, you don't want to do it, like, at least when it comes to me.
Hmm.
I don't want to be like a bad person, or like, throw that shit fit, or why isn't this done in a certain way and all of that. But it happens, and in your head, you can get away with it. But I also feel it's how you react to it later.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, again, I think this is my people pleasing problem. I feel very guilty.
Hmm.
So I will call you and say, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
That is from where I stem from.
Hmm.
But yes, I will say that it's only human, yeah. Like, I mean, give everybody a chance. It should not become a repetitive habit. And you should not, like, as if you're reporting into somebody, or if your boss or your manager is being a certain way, and if you're letting it be once, it's fine. Twice, okay.
Hmm.
Strike three, and if you're still letting it happen and not calling it out, then I'm sorry, you're the stupid one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's
whether it's your
crazy to
boss or
me
not.
how.
And I don't mean quitting, right? I don't mean quitting.
Hmm. It's crazy how people like say like you've gone through a breakup and then you just have to go to office the next day and stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah,
What do you
you've
say?
gone through a breakup. You've
Yeah, something like
partied
that.
till 5 a.m. You are hungover.
Yeah.
You are in anything. It can be, like, again, now it's the monsoons, right? And
Hmm.
people live everywhere,
Hmm.
and there's some people come like they've really battled, like they've fought some 4 battles and come into work, right? There
Yeah.
are people like that, and you can sit there and go like, I don't care. You chose to work here.
Yeah.
So, and you're not being a bad person. I also feel it's, as managers, also constantly telling ourselves, like, second guessing what we're doing. I think sometimes you don't have to do that.
Hmm. And if you have a good relationship with your manager, can you like use these personal things as an excuse for not showing up, or how does that work? Or does it
See,
just
that depends on your manager, right? I
okay?
also feel like, see, we're all human, yeah. We all get up some days not wanting to go. Every day you can't show up and give your 100%.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
that's not humanly possible. We're not still reached artificial intelligence level where I put a chip in my brain and I'm at 100% battery. Every day is not the same day. And I guess that's again the world that you build around you, the environment that you are in, where some days you can go in feeling 70%, and then there will be some days you will go in feeling 30%.
Hmm.
And again, that's again your rapport with your manager, that you sort of figure it out and irons out, like, I will do enough to get through today, but I may not climb Mount Everest, but don't worry.
Hmm.
There'll be no avalanche that will happen, if that is the way to get it. But because we all are human, yeah, we all feel like not giving 100% every day. We all wake up with different fuzzy feelings on different days. So
Yeah.
it's only fair that we give ourselves a break also. Also, people take each other and themselves very seriously.
Hmm.
That's something I don't believe in doing. Obviously, don't take me for a fool. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. But at the same time, like, everybody needs to just chill in general, even when it comes to working. Like, I work in the entertainment business, right? Like, our tagline is, there's no entertainment if there's no applause. And I keep saying that there is no astronaut on the moon waiting for us to press a button. So nothing is going to happen to anybody if one day we didn't do something, or like, if so at least have fun. We're in the entertainment business. We need to have fun. We need to not take ourselves so seriously and just have fun,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, even your career is a part of you. It cannot be your whole self. I mean, there
Hmm.
are people who identify them, and it is a very important part of you because it also helps you discover yourself. But that also happens on a holiday.
Yeah.
That also happens sometimes while walking on the road. So it's, everything is important to do, so one thing leads to another kind of situation. You have to believe in that a little bit.
Okay, now coming to your role itself. So you work with agencies and then you work with OTT and obviously your own team. So how does like handling all those creative differences and say the promotions or stuff like that work? Like how do you all align?
Oh God, you're talking to somebody at peak appraisal season who's just finished everything.
Yeah.
See, honestly, agencies, again, I come from an agency. My entire team comes from an agency. I
Hmm.
think that really opens your heart up to people at agencies. You know that they're overworked souls at the end of the day, underpaid, overworked souls. So really that opens your heart up to your agency partners. Also, everybody's a partner, whether you pay them or they pay you. In the hierarchy chain, eventually everybody's your partner. Yes, if they're giving you attitude is when you play that card. But
Yeah.
apart from that, everybody's your partner. You work with everybody the same way. I think it's very important to treat your internal team also like that. That at the end of the day, we're all partners. We all want each other to succeed.
Mm,
And it's a direct relation to you do your job well, you make me look good. I do my job well, I'll make my manager look good.
mm,
You know, at the end of the day, we all have to understand that it's teamwork. We all work together. No one person can win the battle,
mm,
or no one person can create history. So, in that sense, it's all about teamwork. So, I think you just have to treat everybody with love and respect. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's as humans what we crave in this journey of our corporate life that we've chosen to be on. You know,
yeah.
all these people who dismiss this corporate life and go become an entrepreneur and do all of that, I don't, I don't know why we glorified it so much. You're fab if you're an entrepreneur, or you're fab if you've gone there and done something. But it's about going there and doing something. It's not the via channel that you do it. This whole dissing people around you and, oh, you're like this, you're like that. I think it's about just treat everybody like an equal partner with an equal share of voice, whether it's your platform or whether it's and adding value.
Mm,
That's the biggest thing, like I will only, I think personally that I will only, whether you're somebody who is, whether you're my agency or whether you're my platform or whether you're my even team or the people that I work with, till you feel that they don't add value to your life in
mm,
whatever way, right? Like everybody brings in something in your life. Like you might say that, oh, I love working with this person because they're so fun. I
mm,
love working with this person because they have such great ideas. Oh, I love working with this person because they're so organized. Everybody has a different trait, but what is the simple formula of it that they're adding value to your life or to your work? Okay,
mm,
life is too big,
yeah.
but to your work or to your at that moment what you're doing. And I think the moment you do that, you add value to people, they automatically will want to come and work with you and they'll work with you better. They'll respect you, they'll respect your time, they'll respect the energy that you bring on, just being sensible and adding value to people, I guess.
Okay. But in this like three-way, like who is like kind of commanding between the agency and say like a Netflix and y'all? Who's kind of commanding the
I'll tell you, it's a
content and
simple, it's life is very simple.
hmm,
You have hierarchy. Who pays you? You pay who? You pay who? It's a simple life of hierarchy. You know what I mean? You will listen to that person who is paying you.
hmm, hmm.
I mean, now you can draw the chart.
Oh,
It's as simple as that. It's the hierarchy. And again, it's very unsaid. It's not as like what I'm saying. It's you
hmm,
have to understand it more than this thing.
hmm,
I mean, tomorrow, if a platform tells me I need this in a certain way,
hmm.
I will do it. I will
Okay.
tell my agency I need this in a certain way, they will do it.
Hmm.
Right? Like it's very simple. It's
Yeah.
like how much ever you say, oh, we want to be this, we want to be that, it's flat, there's no hierarchy, there always is.
Hmm, hmm,
Right? Like there will be some unsaid, said, thin lines, imaginary lines, they're all there.
hmm.
So you have to understand those and work around those.
Yeah. That
Because
makes
tomorrow, because of your bad behavior, you don't want a platform to walk away.
hmm, hmm. So you have to keep that
Or
in.
you don't want, and at the same time, you don't want your agency to think that these are terrible clients to have.
Hmm.
See, they won't leave you because you're paying them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Till you reach a point of extreme, till you're terrible with them. But yeah, there is this little bit hierarchy, like at the end of the day.
Makes sense. That
It's
makes
a funny thing, right? I keep joking with people.
hmm.
It's a funny thing on, will you go for the meeting or will they come to your office? And I keep joking that it's guys, they're paying us. We go to their office.
Yeah.
Or if someone says, okay, are we going to their office? I was like, no, no, we pay them. They come to our office. You know, it's
Yeah.
these subtle small things to say in truths
Hmm.
that sort of define that
Yeah.
little triangle, but it's there. It's there.
Okay. And so my next question, like, so think about this like from like the standpoint of like purely as a marketer. What excites you more, like say content with a genuinely great plot and say like a cinematic experience, or content with numerous talking points and for example a Jawan with that address like 10 social issues and generates a lot of buzz. Like, which piece of content do you prefer to build
Oh
more?
God, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Okay, if I have to break it down, it will be the one with a bigger budget,
Hmm.
but I will go for the massier, more commercial.
Hmm.
And so much fun. You can do so much more.
Yeah.
As a marketer, again, I'm purely thinking as a
Yeah.
marketer because
Not.
also the person with that cinematic excellence will come with a lot of brown boundaries and restrictions. Maybe I'm again, that's what I'm saying. If you give me the budget, then why not? Because again, marketing is pure, you're a cost center, you're spending money.
Hmm.
But if I have to say it, it will be the more commercial, the more massy, the more like Jawan is a classic example. I would
Yeah.
love to would have worked on Jawan
Yeah.
because it has everything in it, right? Like the social meaning that they tried to bring out in the film,
Hmm.
that they brought out was all post.
Hmm.
Pre, they did any of that. Pre, it was a proper Shah Rukh Khan
Yeah.
item number, mass seller. So honestly, that would be very exciting to work on because there's so much you can do, right? Like then. So
Yeah.
it would be that, I will say. Like maybe for the soul, once in a while you throw in that cinematic experience because that'll give you that pride
Hmm.
and place. But you know that being able to do 20 things, weird things, and all of them being successful. I
Hmm.
think more than, if I have to tweak this question a little bit, more than cinematic versus that Marcy kind of a thing, I think it would be to work on a successful
Hmm.
project.
Hmm.
Like a large successful, like, because say even a SLB in that sense, Sanjay Leela Bhansali, he brings that cinematic experience and now he even delivers mass.
Yeah. Just changing the question myself a little bit. Say, what if like the talking points are kind of with a movie like Animal, like negative talking points about it, but it still kind of drives the viewership
That's
anyway.
fine. Honestly, as a marketer,
Hmm.
there's so much in Animal to market, right? Like the
Hmm.
music, the dialogues.
Hmm.
See, honestly, like the negative talking, there'll be negative about everything. There are so many people on planet Earth, and then there are so many kind of people on planet Earth. You go to X, and people are just trashing each other for nothing. I
Hmm.
mean, and there are all kind of consumers. Again, the world has so many people that there are all kind of consumers. So in that sense, even if you put out the most amazing piece of content, someone or the other will trash it.
Yeah.
And that's, as a marketer, you have to understand. You have to learn, not let the negativity bog you down. You obviously have to listen to it. When people say, "No, don't listen to all of that," that's all rubbish. You
Hmm.
have to listen to all of it. You have to know what is being spoken about your product. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you have to learn to choose to what you sort of this thing. But I would love to work on Animal. I mean, look at the box office
Hmm.
revenue on that. Like, it would have been such a delight to put together that musical
Yeah.
night that they did, or that album, or that trailer, the buzz that it created.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I don't think anything beats the feeling of a box office success when you're working in content, especially in this extremely fickle-minded world of, today you go to the theaters, you don't know what will work, what will not work. So I mean, you're guessing how people will perceive it, and you're playing that guessing game, and you're making all your estimations of box office collections and all. It's a guessing game. You
Yeah.
have no idea how it will be received. Like, you have zero idea.
Hmm.
You will think that a film like Bade Miyan Choti Miyan, which was so massy, had Akshay Kumar, had all the dance, had all the skin show, had all the fighting sequences, proper India versus bad guy, Desh Prem, all of that,
Hmm.
and it tanked.
Yeah.
And then you have Gadar at the other end,
I mean,
which,
I think the
again, the
first one
same
because of
thing.
the saturation, like there's been like too much of that, no?
Who knows? That's what I'm saying. Who knows?
Yeah.
They would have thought. that the time when it released is the time when people are used to action films,
Mm.
right? So they timed it in such a way saying that, okay, this will be the action film of this season, of that time when it released. It didn't do well. So you can't predict anything. So at this point, I would say to work on a commercially successful piece of content is
Yeah.
more fun. Like when we worked on Scam, for example, right? Scam
Mm.
1992 was
Mm.
so much fun
Yeah.
because how it picked up, where it picked up, and then suddenly it became a part of pop culture, working on that theme music. So it's such a thrill, it's such a high when you work on that,
Yeah.
when you work on projects like that.
Oh shit, yeah. I should have asked something about that. That was like
No,
it was like
no.
on Instagram, throughout Instagram. It was everywhere.
No, it's such a thrill to work on
Did
stuff
you all
like
like
that.
plan for that, like the or it just
No,
happened?
it was dropped in the pandemic, like it released in October 2020. And when it released, who knew it's going to become like this? I don't think anybody who worked on it, like, see, you're creating great content. You know that it's a fab show. You know that when you see it. But your fab may not be my fab, right? Like, so in terms of people perception, you're still putting it out there and hoping it hits the right marks. So when it started picking up, see, also with OTT, what happens is you put the piece of content down and then it has to pick up, right? And then it snowballs, and then then you see the larger effect. Just with this, it was phenomenal. Like, naturally the memes that started coming all over, the talking points.
Yeah.
I had like everybody like, oh my, that's also when I realized how many people see closing credits, because the number of people who told me that, oh, you worked on Scam, and I'm like, there are 200 people credited on that show.
Yeah.
You actually saw my name, like, and these are people who would not have known that my name is on there, right? Like,
Mm.
in terms of, so it was a phenomena which was, until date, I won't lie, like the Scam music album still gives us great revenues, a lot of all of those things in that sense.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of so like I say that sometimes you need, that you need food for your soul, but you sometimes need that little commercial success.
What would be like a one liner you would give to somebody who wants to reach the same exact professional like position you're at, like a one line that would have helped you?
One line is too little. Clearly, I can talk a lot, but
I
I
mean, you
think
can
a couple of
explain
things. Yeah.
it.
One is to, I tell everybody, right? Like a lot of young people, my family, cousins, all of them ask, right? Like that we want more money, we want this, we want that. And all I say is just put your head down and work hard. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the biggest things I totally believe in. Because I won't lie, when I started out, I had zero idea about where I will land up. I'm not those. I'm not one of those typical people. Not typical, actually. I'm not one of those who, I'm admitting it, who had it written down when I was 15 that I
Mm.
will become the CEO of some company, and like that ambition board or any of that. Right? I think life for me just happened. I mean, I figured a lot of things on the way. But yes, one thing that I constantly did was I put my head down and I was diligent
Mm.
and disciplined when it came to work. Like I
Mm.
said, right? Like, don't forget to live your life. Don't forget to take
Mm.
your timely breaks. Don't forget to live your age. That's very important,
Yeah.
because that age ain't coming back. Like, so just live your age. But don't forget that you have to get to work. You
Mm.
have to, especially when it comes to a job life, a corporate life. You can't take that for granted,
Mm.
because that'll just go by so fast, that you will not realize it when you have screwed up. Also, in a job, another thing is you have to hustle your way. You have to be heard. You have to make, because unless you're working with a startup where there's nobody in the team, right? Like then it's
Mm.
you yourself who's doing everything.
Yeah.
But in a corporate setup, you have to be that go-getter. You have to go there and want to achieve those dreams. So there's also that fire in your belly that you have to keep alive, which again comes down to put your head down and just keep be at it, and eventually you will get it, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to negotiate on the way, you have to do all of those things on the way, but don't ever forget that the larger goal is you have to put put your head down and be at it. I think that's the number one rule of corporate working, where things don't come in that easy. Very it does for some people, but not for everybody. In general, it's there are going to be times when you don't feel like getting up and going to work, or when you don't feel like doing this, or when you don't feel like doing that. Sometimes you do it saying it's a job. Say, I'm doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the money. The number of times I've done that is not even funny.
Yeah.
You tell yourself that on some days. On some days you have that fire in you, so you go do it. Whatever it is, find your reason. You'll have to find it on a daily basis.
Hmm.
So just find your reason and honestly put your head down, be at it, and it'll happen. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no way it won't happen if you're a combination of good attitude and great work ethics put together. It cannot not happen. I totally believe in that. And that's what I tell everybody, that just be at it.
Yeah.
Whoever asks me.
And I feel like, anyways, like at the end of the day, a hardworking day feels way better than a day you just lounged around. Like you feel way more satisfied, however
Of
tired.
course, it's like this, this I work out in the morning. I go for a morning 8 o'clock workout every day by the clock at 7:15 when my alarm rings. I think of three excuses of not going.
Yeah.
Every day, okay? Like at 7:15, it's raining today. Today, I'm very tired. I had a very long day yesterday. I have a very long day today. I think I should rest it out.
Yeah.
Or, you'll come, I'm not feeling so good. I didn't sleep so well.
Hmm.
There will be 20 reasons. Every morning in routine, I think of two reasons.
Hmm.
And then I go like, you know what? I'm only going to get half an hour more of sleep.
Hmm.
There's no point. I have to wake up at 8:30 anyways. It's 7:15. By the time I've done all this thinking, it's become 7:30. It's not like I'll get to sleep till God knows what time. I still have to get up and go to work. Just go work out. And then after when
Yeah.
I'm coming back from the workout, I'm like, I did it. I
Yeah.
thank God I'm feeling so good now. I went for
Yeah.
my workout.
Yeah.
That rush of dopamine has happened in the head, and I'm feeling all like fully charged, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's about it for going to work, like you'll every day there'll be an excuse. But like they say, you just have to show up.
Hmm.
Don't, and when you're working, it's not just have to show up. It's like you don't have to just go to the gym. You have to lift those dumbbells up and do something also.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about just getting yourself to do it every day and be consistent at it.
Hmm.
That honestly, that's what I tell everybody. And today's this Gen Z generation
Hmm.
can sometimes wants it all so quick,
Yeah.
and
Easy.
like has an argument ready the moment you say something, and is fighting for rights all the time, like you don't have to do all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But at like what point do you feel like a slave to your work?
I never feel like that. I won't lie, honestly, because I do a lot of things that I enjoy doing as well. I do a lot of things for myself as well. I don't feel like a slave to my work because I genuinely enjoy what I do. I think it's about also choosing maybe if I'd become a doctor, I would feel like I'm a slave.
Hmm.
Because I wouldn't have been happy. I look back and I'm very happy I did what I did, right? I'll never be I could have become a doctor. I'll never
Yeah.
have that feeling.
Hmm.
I mean, I have done that. Like I cannot become one, right? So I
Yeah.
don't feel like a slave to my work, honestly, because I do enough things that I enjoy doing as well. I like to travel. I like to go out. I like socializing.
Hmm.
I invest enough time on myself in terms of working out, in terms of finding a routine to my life. I think if you do too much of it, it's like eating a salad, right? I don't like to eat a salad, but I will eat it. But if I eat it every day with a grudge on my face, then it'll feel like a chore. But you spice it up every day. You add like different things to it. You make it fun. You make a version of it every day. You'll never feel like a slave. If I had to lie, eating a salad, I'll always feel like a slave. But in general, when it comes to work, I genuinely don't feel. I actually enjoy what I do. I enjoy working with the people around me. I enjoy people in general. Like, I mean, I love having conversations with people. I love, talking. I love the exchange of energies, this whole vibe and energy. I truly believe in that. And I think I have a lot of energy. So if I don't go to work, I don't know what I'm going to do, genuinely. And I think then it'll be like, I don't know which direction it would go in. I think I have that much energy in me. So genuinely, I don't feel a slave to my work. But that's also because I find things that I enjoy doing in my non-work time,
Hmm.
and that I do. Like I enjoy traveling a lot. So I make sure I plan that to the T. I enjoy eating out a lot, and so again, I make sure I do all of that in my life, so that at no point do I feel like this is the only thing I'm doing.
Okay, I mean, that's it from me. You were
Yeah,
damn insightful and fun. Every question I was like laughing, and I was also going,
you'll have to edit a lot of it. I don't know what I have
no,
said
you
in the
spoke.
flow. Don't make me mail bash. Don't make me bash my job. Don't make me bash anything.
No, that's what I'm saying from the start from our call. I'm like, you talk like in a fun way, but you talk sense as well. And I was like, oh shit, how is it happening? Hi, I'm Rahul Joshi. Thank you for listening to the Ones Who Do podcast. I would definitely love to get some feedback from you all. So make sure to follow all my socials and stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you.